like me, you've probably been watching a ton of YouTube videos of gardeners from all over starting in their gardens already for the 2023 season. It is still covered in snow where I am. I'm in zone 3, and so I can't start in the garden yet, but that doesn't mean that I haven't started thinking about what I'm going to grow in the 2023 season. So I thought I would do a quick video today on what I grew last year, what were my favorite varieties, which varieties I'm not going to grow this year because I didn't like them, and just start chatting about the 2023 garden season. I'm so excited to finally start gardening. So let's chat. So I just organized my seeds a couple weeks ago. So like every other gardener that you've probably seen ever, I've been using this picture box, this picture organization box as my seed box. I really do like it. I think there's a reason why it's so popular. And I have everything labeled here, so I thought we'd go through each box and see, you know, what were my favorites from last year and go from there. Alright, so first box I have is lettuces. I'm not very picky about lettuces, so I think I'm just going to ignore this one for right now. But I will say, I did buy some new lettuce this year. These are my new seeds that I just recently bought. So I got butterhead lettuce from West Coast Seeds, and then arugula from Livingston. So I am not picky about lettuce, so these are the two that I bought for this year. I just normally grow like romaine and yeah, nothing fancy. Alright, so for herbs, I do have quite a bit of herbs in here. So I got some dill, which I saved from last year, always a winner in my books. And then one variety of herbs that I wanted to talk about was this slow bolt cilantro from Baker Creek. So I bought this because I live, even though it's cold where I am in the wintertime, we do get quite warm in the summer. So I bought a slow bolt cilantro hoping that it would last me throughout the season. Cilantro is a cold variety, like it prefers cold, cooler weather. But because it's slow bolt and it says that it's slower bolting than the other cilantro varieties, I wanted to give it a try. This cilantro was so hard for me to germinate. I think I started it 3 times last year before it finally grew, because it does need a period of cold before it'll grow. So you do have to plant this out either when there's still snow on the ground or when it's still really cool outside. So I did do that, but it still took forever for it to finally germinate and grow. And I will say that it did not bolt any slower than other cilantro that I've grown. So because it was so hard for me to germinate and because it's actually not slow bolting, I don't think I'm going to grow this variety again. I did buy this Santo long standing cilantro from West Coast Seeds to try. It also says bolt resistant, so we'll see if that's actually true. I will report back at the end of the season. But yeah, so this is another new variety that I'm going to try this year. And that's really it in terms of herbs. I feel like, you know, you grow what you like in terms of herbs, so I'm not going to make any recommendations there. Then squash. So squash are one of my favorite things to grow, so I do have opinions on these. So I grew lemon squash last year. These I'm still not 100% sure of. They're really cute little melons. They kind of have like a zucchini vibe to them. They're little and yellow, hence the name lemon squash. But I find that once you pick them, you really have to eat them right away. They're not like zucchini where you can keep them on your counter for a little bit. If you don't eat them within a few days, I find that they do go bad. They are quite prolific though, so if you want to grow these instead of, you know, a zucchini or whatever, they are really cute. They do taste well, or good, I should say. But yeah, the fact that they do go bad so quickly after picking them, I don't know if I love them because I don't get around to eating them right away all the time. So these ones, not sure if I'm gonna grow. So I don't have the package for this, but a coworker gave me these Iran squash last year, They are really big squash that are green and orange colored, really big in size. And these completely took over my garden. So if you are going to grow these, make sure you give them a lot of space because their leaves are huge, and they took over everything. So these, I don't think I ate any of them, so I don't know how they taste. These ones I don't really know if I can recommend because I didn't eat them, but they are beautiful. So if you want to try to grow them. One squash I will recommend is Burgess squash. These are my favorite variety of squash to eat. They're little green squash. They're not quite like an acorn in terms of shape, but kind of look like one that's been flattened down. I got these from a coworker a few years ago, and they've become one of my favorite squash varieties. And then the last squash that I'll probably talk about today is the Galeux des Cygnes. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's this variety from Baker Creek. So it says it's a beautiful French heirloom. It's heavily warded and ideal for soups and baking. I only grew one of these last year, so I grew maybe multiple plants, but I only got one squash, and it was beautiful. Like, looked exactly like the photo, really nice and warded, and I made pumpkin pie out of it, and it was delicious. So I definitely recommend this one. It was a great filling, and I think one of these squash made one pie. So it was great to make a pie per squash. And I think that's it in terms of squash. I did grow these Gelber English or custard patty pan type squash. I didn't love them, didn't hate them. I probably will grow them again because I just love growing squash. I love their trailing vines and having like these really cool fruit to pick from them. So I probably will grow these again, but they were okay. But one type of squash that I am growing this year for the first time, I've only grown green zucchini in my garden. It's just a habit of just buying the green ones because I guess that's what I get in the store. So I'm finally trying the yellow squash. I've eaten these, but I've never tried growing them. So I'm really excited to grow these. These are from Mr. Fothergill's. So yeah, those are some yellow zucchini there. And then peppers. So this is a pretty big container, so I'm just gonna go through and kind of figure out which ones I did like. I have a video from 2 years ago where I think I kind of reviewed these all as well. And I will say that last year was not a great pepper year for me, so I can only really comment on 3 of them. So last year, pepper wasn't a great pepper year. We won't talk about it. But love Craig's Grande jalapeno, really big jalapeno, great flavor. Lemon spice jalapeno, same thing. And these are just so pretty when you put them in salsas or food, so I like these ones. And the flavor is a little bit different from a regular jalapeno. And then shishito peppers, my all-time favorite pepper. I actually have some of these growing in my arrow garden right now, so I'm saving the seeds from those. Yeah, these are a great pepper. Highly recommend the shishito peppers. And I don't really have any peppers that I didn't like. I'm just looking through here quickly. Yeah, honestly, love peppers, so I don't have anything to say about those. So we'll close this one up. And now for melons. So I'm not really picky when it comes to melons. I will say that I do grow these honeydew every year. And I also grow these cantaloupe. These are the Minnesota cantaloupe and the green flesh honeydew. These I've grown in my garden almost every year since I've had a garden. They always produce really well. The fruits always taste really good. So those 2 I recommend. I did try, and sugar baby watermelons. A friend gave me these seeds as well. I think I had one, I don't think I got one last year because a critter got into my garden and ate it. But these do really well in the garden too. I did try growing these Leilanu Sweet Glows, the Haramaju, and also the Kajari melons. They all grew, like a couple melons each, but I don't know what I had in the garden last year, but a critter would get to the melons as soon as they were ripe enough to eat. So I will try growing these another time and hopefully we'll have some more success this year. I'm gonna skip flowers for right now. All right, tomatoes. So I have a lot of sage seed tomatoes. Okay, staple in my garden, the San Marzano tomato. We'll grow it every year. Great for sauces, and I freeze them. They're just a great overall tomato, so always growing these. I love Berry's Crazy Cherry. These are, I'm not a huge, people laugh at me because I grow so many tomatoes in the garden, but I don't love raw tomatoes. But these ones I do like. So these ones I like, and then we'll just add these to pasta, like whole, and they're sweet. They're just a really nice tomato, and they grow tons. Like these bunches that you see on in the photo here are really what they do look like. So definitely going to be grown in my garden every year. So I'm just trying to see. I save seeds for a lot of these tomatoes. Just a classic Roma tomato, also standard in my garden. I also do a beefsteak. These ones actually I've found that I don't have the greatest success with from this brand, but last year I did these watermelon beefsteaks from Baker Creek, and these grew great in my garden. I had so many really large beefsteak tomatoes, so these will also be a staple in my garden going forward. They're just really pretty, not a ton of seeds, which is nice, so just a really great tomato. Last year was my first time, growing these two varieties, so the Black Beauty and the Prairie Fire. Both really beautiful tomatoes, really good growth. Like I got tons of tomatoes from all the plants, and these Prairie Fire are really pretty. I like the flavor of these in sauces. The Black Beauties look so nice in salsa, so I will definitely be growing these again. I don't have the package, but the Indigo Rose, which is a smaller cherry grape size purple tomato, also one that I'll definitely grow again. And then Sun Golds, of course. So I think one of these is Sun Golds, yeah. So here's my saved seeds from last year. Sun Golds are another one of our favorite little cherry tomatoes. My husband just loves to go outside and eat them right off the vine. So those ones will also be grown in the garden every year. And then I think this is the only, I bought these Abe Lincoln. I had watched a video from, I think, Jess from Roots and Refuge that said Abe Lincolns were good tomatoes, so I'm giving these ones a go. Nice little perfect tomato, it looks like, but just a classic looking tomato. So I'm gonna try these in the garden this year and see how they go. All right, so moving on to gourds. This is like my arch nemesis. Loofah squash. I've been trying to grow these for probably 3 years now. I have never grown a single loofah. Last year I think was the closest I've ever come. The plant trellised up my arch trellis. It looked beautiful. The loofah flowers had their little ovary on them that you can see that the loofah was there. They just never grew. The ants, for some reason, I've actually never looked up what was going on, but the ants really liked the loofah flowers, and I wasn't sure if they were like going up and, you know, sucking sap from the plant or something along those lines, and it caused the flowers to never develop into fruit. So I don't know, I need to look that up, because I remember being like, oh, this is so great. The flowers are there. You can see the ovary, which when you have squash in the garden, usually means you're going to have a fruit soon, but they just never develop past the flower stage. So I'm going to maybe look that up and see if there's anything I can do. It was really strange because I'd have the cuckoozy gourd right next to it. The cuckoozy was fine, but the loofah had ants all over it, so I need to figure that out. Hopefully this year. I really want this to be the year where I grow loofahs. And then the cuckoozy squash. So I think that these are really cool. They look beautiful when they're hanging from a trellis, but I don't want to say I don't like the flavor of these, but I feel like you have to pick them when they're so young, like zucchini size, for them to taste good. If you let them grow any bigger, kind of like zucchini, they just don't taste good after. And because they're so pretty when they get big, then I don't eat them. So then they're just kind of grown for decoration, which is fine. They're just like a flower in my garden then. So I do like these in the garden for like a visual aspect of it, but not necessarily to eat. They're not my favorite. I'd rather just go with an OG green zucchini or yellow zucchini. These, and they're so big, I don't know, just not my favorite. And then these birdhouse gourds, same thing with the cuckoozy. These just look really cool and they're growing from an arched trellis. I do have a bunch of these actually in my garage that I'm planning on turning into greenhouses this year. Last year I had a couple that I just left on the trellises over the winter, and they were still like rock hard by the end of the season. So they really would hold up as being birdhouses. So I have, I think, 6 in my garage that I'm gonna drill little holes in, hang them up on some of the trees in the area, put some bird seed in, and they will be birdhouses. So I'm going to be growing these again because they are just really so cool. And I do like, I like growing things to eat, of course, but growing things for like the cool aspect or things that you find visually appealing or that bring you joy in the garden just makes it so much easier when you're completely sick of gardening and you need like motivation to go back out. Having things that look beautiful or you're excited to see grow really do make a difference. So these are one of those things that definitely sparks joy. Okay, so brassicas are next. I tried growing these dinosaur kale. I don't think they grew at all. Or I started seeds, they grew in pots, and then I maybe just didn't take care of them well enough, and when I planted them out, they just didn't grow. So I will try these again because I think these look really cool in the garden too. I love seeing people's gardens on YouTube or Instagram of like these giant dinosaur kale kind of coming up throughout their garden. They just look really cool. Not a big fan of kale to eat, but these are one of those things that just hopefully will spark joy. These milk bok choy were delicious. I wish that they lasted throughout the entire summer. I planted these, I don't even know when I would have planted them, but I planted them early in the season when I planted all my other brassicas. These did great. I had so much bok choy, and they're like perfect for putting into your own personal ramen bowl. And they tasted great. So these I'll definitely grow again, and I think I'm gonna make sure that I space them out. So I will succession sow these so that I have bok choy throughout the season. That being said, they are more of a cold, hardy brassica, so they might not do great in the dead of summer, but I'm hoping that I can grow them in the spring and closer to the end of the season because these really were delicious. I also might try freezing these because I can't imagine that they wouldn't hold up, so I think I'm going to try that this year too. Cauliflower, meh. Not even going to recommend. Haven't been successful with it. Cauliflower is one of those things I try all the time, but don't have a ton of success with. These though, I had a ton of success with. So the early green broccoli, I grew these under a like mini hoop tunnel on my raised garden bed last year, and I did get quite a bit heads of broccoli. And then they're great because you cut off the main head and then they do all the side shoots. So these I really enjoyed. So these are seeds of change, early green broccoli. Carrots, I don't think I have any other carrots in here, but these are the two that I grew last year, and I'll definitely grow them again. The Black Nebula carrot and the New Kuroda carrot. So these are supposed to be a really sweet one, which they are, and these are grown because apparently they're one of the darkest colored carrots that you can get. They have like the highest, yeah, so it says high in anthocyanins. It's the darkest carrot available as well, apparently. So they are really beautiful. They will stain your hands, they will stain your cutting board. You can get the stain off, but just an FYI. And they also color everything that you put into them purple. So if you're throwing them into like a Tuscan soup that's like normally clear or yellow, these will turn them purple. We've made green Thai curry that these turned purple, so it's a purple Thai curry instead. So if you're weirded out by colors of food, then these are not for you. Do not put them in anything because they will turn it purple, and that weirds some people out. So, but they are really tasty. Both of these varieties are really good. They will always be grown in my garden. And then I have miscellaneous seeds, so I'm not sure exactly what's in here. Oh, I have the Jing Orange Okra. Didn't successfully grow this last year. They only got like that big and then they stopped growing, so I'm going to try this again. Green Globe Artichokes. I would love to try artichokes again. The plants got like yay big, but they didn't grow to head and to flower. This variety needs 115 days. There's a variety, I can't remember what it's called, but there's a variety on West Coast Seeds website that I think is, don't quote me on this, but I want to say like 85 days. So this one's 115. That is like the max we could probably do in our season, and I'd have to start these like now. So I think I'm gonna try the other, the variety by West Coast Seeds and see if that works, because I really do want some artichoke. Last thing in here that I will recommend is these Carnivorous Colossal Asparagus. I haven't actually tried the asparagus yet, but they grew really easily last year. So I started these indoors maybe in March. I can't remember how long these take. It says sow indoors 2 to 3 months before last spring. So I probably did start this in March of last year, and I had really good success growing this asparagus. They were easy to grow, planted them in the garden with no problem, and they did great in the garden. They were overshadowed by some of the sunflowers that I had growing, so they probably didn't bush out as much as they could in their first year, but I'm gonna keep the sunflowers out of the raised bed that I put them in this year so that these guys can get all of their sun, bush out, and get really big, so that hopefully I get asparagus next year, because if I'm not mistaken, asparagus is a 3-year from seed. 2 years if you get starts, 3 years if you plant it from seed. So we'll see what I get this year, but yeah, really easy to grow. So that's always a good start anyways when it comes to seeds. And then I think that's it. I do have some flower seeds here that I can mention, some of them, but to be honest, maybe I'll just mention this one. This Morning Glory Moonflower I grew over an arch trellis last year. It was beautiful. It does open in like at dusk and dawn, so it's not necessarily open during the day when you'd be out in the garden, but it grew over the trellis. The flowers are beautiful, and apparently they're really good for, I want to say moths. It doesn't stay here, but yeah. It was beautiful over the arch trellis, so I do recommend these ones. And then one that I don't think I have the seeds for that I really liked, a friend gave me the seeds, and I might have to ask her if she has any this year. I don't think I have any, but the firecracker vine, or the Spanish flag flower is what it's called as well. It's a beautiful flower that vines, and then it has these like a spike of flowers that go from like orange to red, so it's kind of like the Spanish flag, and it went all over the arch trellis. They were beautiful. The bees really love them, so they were always covered in insects. So that was really cool to see, and it looked really good over the arch trellis. So that one I'll definitely be growing again if I can find seeds for it. And then just some other things that I bought this year that I haven't tried myself, but I'm excited to try. So first, for onions. So last year I grew West Coast seeds. I think it's called the Patterson onion and the Calibra onion, and both did great. I got really big bulbs of onion, so I'm definitely looking for those seeds. I went to a couple stores that sell West Coast seeds in my city, and I haven't been able to find those two varieties, so I'm going to still look, and if not, I'll order them from the website. But shipping from Vancouver to where I am is expensive. It's not worth doing, so I'm going to see if I can find them in the city first. But I did pick up some Ailsa Craig onions. So these ones say they're huge straw yellow globes that grow up to 20 centimeters in diameter with a firm texture and mild sweet flesh. They keep fairly well, but is grown as a sweet rather than storage onion. So these ones might be just for eating in the summertime, but I do want to look for some storage onions. I don't know how, I think I did 2 packs of these, which are roughly 100 seeds. So I started roughly 200 onions last year, and I had enough onions to last me till like October. So not the whole year, but a pretty decent amount. So I do want to look for those Patterson and Calibra onions that I grew last year. And then I got the Walla Walla onions. These, I've never tried these, I don't think, like growing them, but they're supposed to be really popular onions, so I'm going to try these. I don't know if they're storing onion. Doesn't say really. So I'll grow these, and then maybe they'll be like this, similar to this one, where I'll eat them in the summer until they essentially go bad. And then I'm going to go buy some of the longer storage onions, but I have those going into the fall and winter. I'm going to grow, I don't know how many seeds are in this package, but I think I'm going to aim for like starting probably 300 to 400. Obviously they're not all going to grow, so, but we go through a lot of onions, so it makes sense to grow a lot of onions. I'm going to try growing these leeks, these Varna leeks this year as well. I've never grown leeks, but I do enjoy them, so I'm going to give these a try. I also want to try finding shallots, because we do cook a lot with shallots, so I'm going to try to find some of those too, but I haven't been able to find them yet. Peaches and cream corn from West Coast Seeds. I do normally buy this variety of corn, but just from different seed companies, classic sweet corn. And I also want to try to find a different variety of corn, like maybe a popping corn or a corn that I can turn into like cornmeal and make tortillas, something along those lines. But this is one variety I'm going to grow. I know you're not supposed to mix varieties, but I'm hoping I can space them out enough that it doesn't really matter. Growing spinach as well. I've never grown spinach before, but we've been eating a lot of spinach in this house over the last few months, so I figured might as well try growing my own. And then basil. I have an Italian basil in here, but I don't have a ton of seeds left, so I bought some more. And yeah, Genovese basil is a very popular common basil. So those are all the seeds that I have. As you can tell, I have a pretty good collection, as most gardeners do. But yeah, I'm really excited to get this garden season underway. I'm hoping to start my first set of seeds in the next few weeks. But yeah, I hope you learned some new to you varieties. If you have any suggestions for your favorite seeds, I'd love to hear them. So please comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and happy garden seasoning. I will see you next time.